There is one reason why Mladic is basically still free right now, ladies and gentlemen, because there is no critical evidence of them to be prosecuted, ladies and gentlemen, because there is no critical evidence for the International Criminal Tribunal to actually prosecute these kinds of people. Which critical evidence is coming from the war journalists itself, ladies and gentlemen. These war journalists, like what Akita stated before, that they have these documents for military officials, which can prove that there is a chain of command inside the hierarchy of the government itself. It proves basically this military is basically only have one copy of their documents. That ICC cannot even copy these documents, ladies and gentlemen. So the one thing that they can do is basically to ask for these journalists to reveal their information about this military chain of command itself, ladies and gentlemen. We see that the court itself when the court needs an evidence for the crime itself, they have the injunction to actually even to seek confidential evidence itself, ladies and gentlemen. It's a legal obligation for someone to actually being a witness towards the international crime itself, ladies and gentlemen. The ICC fact, even the problem right now is that the ICC fact-finding mission is basically doing afterwards when people is basically are being killed already, when people are actually victimized with the genocide itself, ladies and gentlemen. So it is basically unfair for us to actually for us to actually not making them as a war journalist itself. Yes.
Even with your proposal, the source of information can easily lie when they're forced to testify against the government. They can easily lie whether they have run on the government.
Yeah. Like what the POI of Satrio has stated to you, that these court is basically having a standard of which evidence is basically reliable and which evidence is basically unreliable, ladies and gentlemen. So the court itself can actually, the judges or the jury itself can actually see which documents is basically reliable. No, thank you. Now going to my first argument, which is basically, now we say that we should remember that the standards of proof in International Crime Tribunal is beyond reasonable doubt, ladies and gentlemen, which is overwhelmingly benefits the defendant itself. Now, for example, the documents for example, the documents that Akita has stated before. If these documents is not reliable, we don't know their sources, ladies and gentlemen, then it is considered as weak, and judges have to disgrace them, ladies and gentlemen, which is basically benefiting the defendants, ladies and gentlemen. And the defendants will most likely to go free, ladies and gentlemen. The problem is that when a lot of defendants get free, ladies and gentlemen, the post-conflict reconciliation is basically very hard to be achieved, ladies and gentlemen, because the actors of which being cheerleader of this conflict is being free, ladies and gentlemen, because the evidence does not, because simply the evidence does not exist, and because because they cannot be proven as the bigger actors, because there is no physical evidence, ladies and gentlemen. Because these people is so important, these people cling to actually influence people to hate each other, ladies and gentlemen. There will be still a hatred. For example, like what happened in Bosnia and Serbia itself, ladies and gentlemen. Their relationship relationship is basically still not good, because there is a nostalgic history to Slobodan Milosevic, ladies and gentlemen, because there is no proof to actually prosecute Milosevic since the very first beginning, ladies and gentlemen. There is no physical evidence to actually prosecute Milosevic. And second of all, we see that if the International Criminal Tribunal is basically acquit everybody because they cannot prove the physical evidence of these cases, there will be a lot of a loss of trust from the victims of these genocides or ethnic cleansing, ladies and gentlemen, to the international court itself. Let's take a look at the example, for example, the victims of Timor, ladies and gentlemen, that there are war crimes inside Timor itself, which these people do not trust the national human rights courts in Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen, because all the major actors can get free without even a sentence, ladies and gentlemen. Only small fries of the actors itself. It's widely derided for international community and human rights activists, ladies and gentlemen, especially in Indonesia, which create unwell relations between the Indonesia and Timor-Leste, for example. This is, of course, harmful for the reconciliation efforts, ladies and gentlemen, because the victims are not confident that these people are not confident, and there are very highly unlikely for these people to negotiate with people who actually murders your family, ladies and gentlemen. Second of all, on the points of how this is not fair for other witnesses, like what I stated in my rebuttal, because there is a lot of witnesses basically which took high risk to actually prove certain cases, ladies and gentlemen. And for example, the women which witnessed the rape itself, ladies and gentlemen, they take risk because we say that the case is basically unitary, ladies and gentlemen, because when one evidence is false, it's very difficult to win itself. And we say that everyone has a legal obligation to be a witness, ladies and gentlemen. When these women can be evidence, can be a witness towards these cases, so why not war journalists, ladies and gentlemen? Because the problem is that if we let them not being witnesses, ladies and gentlemen, it will be unfair. First of all, it will be unfair for other witnesses, and second of all, we say that these war journalists are having the strong evidence to prove that the biggest actors of genocide or the biggest actors of ethnic cleansing itself, ladies and gentlemen, which is which has a very enormous effects towards society itself. That's why we should not. That's why we see that the war journalists